Ah, damn it. I just missed them. My first impulse wasn't to start streaming. I whipped up the camera app, but it took just like a second too long. There's a family of turkeys living here somewhere. I assume somewhere in that general direction, which doesn't tell you anything, but just so that you know that I have a theory. I think I know what I'm talking about. And the other day, we saw them just there, probably like we just turned the corner right here, and they were on the pavement, probably as close as like those bushes there. They did not expect us there. We did not expect them there. So, and of course they're turkeys, so you know they have like 5-second delay reaction time. And yeah, it was pretty cool seeing them that up close. But I also, like, I wasn't even looking for the first couple seconds we were that close to them, because I was listening to a podcastio. And Aini didn't even react like right away. Aini is a pretty weird hunter beast. Like, that would be a rabbit, you know, 5 meters away from him, but because he's very busy currently sniffing what's right under him, he would just like not notice it, you know. Yeah, and now turkeys were, well, much further this time, but still, you know, close enough to be like, whoa, that's like a whole family of them. Wish I had a gun. Yeah, alrighty. So, actually, I don't really have any books to report. No book report right now at all. And not a lot of things to bitch about, because I already bitched about everything possible. There's an earpiece in my ear right now, which sounds like, I don't know, makes my own voice hurt my head essentially. So I wouldn't want to talk for way too long. But yeah, news related, I'm definitely going to post about it on Patreon when it actually happens, and I will probably make another video about it too. But just FYI, remember that cloud drop? Wow. Sound drop thing? CLOUDOME sound drop. Yeah. The sound drop thing, yeah. So I did the thing. I did master 2 releases that never even meant to be in time for the, you know, last few days of the $1 per track pricing on Sounddrop. So those 2 releases are going to happen as like the last 2 things that you can find on my YouTube channel or Patreon. They were on Bandcamp, but in a semi-hidden playlist. I didn't make like additional releases for them, because honestly, those were pretty rough. Even for like a free-for-all Bandcamp situation, I still, you know, try to only upload to Bandcamp what I can kind of feasibly, you know, call a music release. And those are even explicitly went out of my way, you know, to call drafts. So yeah, but they were on Bandcamp technically, and they actually still on Bandcamp on that semi-hidden playlist, and it's the Random Gomi playlist. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I need to actually delete them from there. It's pre-uploaded to Bandcamp now, those 2 releases. So one is Surrender Depth, of course, and it comes in with about a dozen of those live stream sessions that I did, excluding I think the first one and one more. One more was just like really a miss, you know, was definitely not a hit. And the other one is the first one. The very first one, well, obviously, because it was the very first one, wasn't particularly brilliant. But also there was a bit of an audio problem on YouTube. I even have like an alternative version of it uploaded. I called remastered, like for your listening pleasure or something, whatever. But it still didn't entirely fix the problem. There is a sample rate desync happening because I was using two audio cards, and one of them wouldn't actually slave to 48 kilohertz. It was defaulting to 44.1 when it came to sync. So like every couple of seconds it would click. Yeah, I couldn't do too much about it with the remaster, and also it didn't sound all that good anyway, because it was like literally a test of the whole setup. So that thing is not included either. You know, hey, you know, some exclusive content on Patreon. You can get like everything on Patreon if you want. Those whole things are archived there. For a music release, yeah, it's quote-unquote the best only. I made it a bit more curated. Yeah, and the second release is the Measurable Illusion single that I made about a month after that one, and that includes all the Void drones / soundscapes that I started doing on my Instagram, and then, you know, later also, well, abandoned Instagram, so now I'm gonna call it like a YouTube series. But you know, the vertical format things like screensaver, drone, noise, soundscapey thingies. There's only, I think, 6 of them, I believe. And actually, I also took, I think, one live session, and I put that into there. Yeah. It's actually 2. It's lives 5 and 6, I believe, or maybe 4 and 5. It's the one that I did with Teenage Engineering, pocket operators, those cool little thingies. Because like I could not be fucked to make like a proper jam session, you know, with something that is smaller than my phone. I mean, I'm sorry guys, you know, 10 years later, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, let alone, it was an interesting gimmick. Like right now I can, you know, I'm a bit too old, you know, to take something like this seriously. You know, if we were in a like actual, you know, live performance type of situation, maybe I could find some use for that. But if I'm singing at home and jamming at home, I'm gonna be using Korg Volca. You know, I'm gonna be using, you know, the Roland synths. I will be using the, I don't know, Arturia Micro Brutes and Mini Brutes and whatever. Well, not Mini Brute. Mini Brute isn't really super jam friendly, but like, yeah, Micro Brutes and whatnot. You get what I'm saying, right? Yeah, I'm saying, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? It's just, yeah. But I managed to make pretty interesting drones out of those. Those things pack some hidden aggression in them. Let's call it that. So yeah, I'm not packaging those with Voids on YouTube or Patreon, but they will be packaged in with the rest of the Voids on the Measurable Illusion single. Actually, I cannot call those singles because despite the fact that all the tracks on it, except for the first one, are essentially bonus tracks, still the amount of tracks is way too high. I cannot call it single. I cannot probably even call it EP. It doesn't really matter. It's just that if I ever call it EP, like Amazon, YouTube, not YouTube, sorry, like Amazon, whatever, Spotify, they will correct and say that this is an album. Yeah, so for legal purposes, just so that you know that I know, so that you don't actually yeah, I know that it's technically cannot be called a single, but those are singles because everything else on them are bonus tracks, despite the fact that I put a shit ton of time into mastering the whole thing. So both technically and practically, I suppose, they are fully mastered albums, but in spirit, meaning-wise, they aren't. They are just singles with some bonuses, and those bonuses only exist because, well, while it's $1 per track, I might as well do it. Yeah, already testing the waters with the next release, which will be a 95-minute long drone/soundscape, of course, because now that, it costs $5 to release a track, so like a 10-track album would be $50. I'm never doing it, essentially. But no, seriously though, conventional music, no one is listening to conventional music anyway. In order to, I bitched about it already. Conventional music is only successful when somebody, like some kind of gatekeeper, can actually make it successful, or can use their megaphone to tell the normies that this is the music you want to listen to. This conventional music is good music. You listen to that music. If you just make conventional music, if you just go out there and make music just like Metallica, just like, Britney Spears, just like whatever. What are you guys listening to? Nicki Minaj, Taylor Swift, whatever, Lil something, Lil Wayne's World, or whatever the fuck. Okay, no one's gonna listen to that. You cannot just be like, hey guys, I'm one of you, look, I can do this type of music also. Well, yeah, anyone can do that type of music. Making that type of music is not what makes it successful. So yeah, I might as well just do my avant-garde stuff, because maybe at least one person out there can find it interesting. There's really no point doing kind of like indie grade of mainstream music, because no one's gonna listen to it anyway. Yeah, so what else? Yeah, so working on music, just wasted probably about 2 hours troubleshooting something with my audio setup. And yeah, I have no idea how I'm just working on all those things simultaneously. Yep, still editing book 1 of the novel. Not that any of you is interested, but still, it's something I've been working on for the longest time, and I wanna get that thing done at least. Before, well, let's see where life takes me. If doesn't take me anywhere writing related, I will probably pause the whole process just a little bit, because it's rather difficult to be kind of like a scholar of languages and cultures while also being a semi-full-time writer in English. I really need to tune out English out of my life, so that I can concentrate on maybe finally getting some Japanese fluency. I don't know, dude, I've been putting that aside for so long. Next year will be a 10-year anniversary of me coming to Japan, and 2 years from then it will be a 10-year anniversary of me coming back from Japan, or going to Japan and coming back from Japan, because it's just it's becoming rather depressing. Simultaneously, my life would not improve a single bit if my Japanese was 10 times better than it is right now, but also it's well, it doesn't feel good to have wasted 2 years of your life. And actually getting a skill that not a lot of people have. There's not that many Japanese people in the first place, let alone foreigners who speak Japanese. So it's kind of you never know. all right? If in 10 years a situation presents itself where it would actually help me a lot, and instead of, you know, learning Japanese at least a little bit for the past 10 years, I would not have learned it at all and still would have been where I am right now. I, you know, would be like, oh my Jesus Christ, if only I studied for 10 minutes a day for the last 10 years. So, you know, it's kind of difficult though, you know, to be immersed in studying a language when you are a like full-time writer in a different language, because just like the level on which I interact with English right now is so much more anal than like it needs to get the hell out of my brain if I want to do Japanese at all. So that's a dilemma, right? It's a freaking dilemma. Yeah, regarding CLOUDOME XS, CLOUDOME XS, I yeah, been working on a few things very, very slowly. I do already have a Unity project for it, and I even started fixing certain things. But again, like there's only so much I can report for any of those things when, you know, I'm doing 500 of them at the same time. Nonetheless, I can give you an updated timeline, kind of, on the whole thing. I did try, by the way, contacting a few publishers, probably about a dozen. It's not a secret, you know. If anyone sees it, like, it's like, oh, you contacted more than me? Yes, I did, because people like you tend to never reply. And even if you do, you don't get it, you know what I'm saying? Anyway. It's like, oh, a game like Outer Wilds, one of the most successful indie games of all time. Nah, I want something about a personal journey of an identity-confused person. Yeah, probably something like that would be better for my BlackRock score, you know, subsidy score. It's like, okay, dude, whatever. You know, like, I don't even know what language to speak to you guys, you know. I bring you Destiny 3. You say, I don't know, we should probably hire some kind of slop developer, you know, whose last 3 projects were total flops, to make something like that. Yeah, it's not like totally unexperienced developers, Escape from Tarkov, can, you know, make a game of such caliber and such depth, let alone make it successfully. No, it's probably impossible. You need like a team of 300 people. What are you talking about? Have you seen Lawbreakers? Have you seen Concord? There is no way 5 people can make something like that, you know, let alone more successful than that. Escape from Tarkov, you know, like, yeah. No, dude. Yeah, totally. You need 500 people and $500 million budget, you know, over 5 years of development. Yes, to make something like that. Absolutely, guys. So yeah, you know, bring something like that to you, and you're like, no, dude. Like, this is like, how are you ever gonna make that? There's no way you can make that. You know, I bring you something small, scalable, but like easily tackable, you know, by a small team, even one developer, and you say, I don't know, dude, this seems to be too small of an idea. I don't see the mass market appeal. Yeah, mass market appeal, you know, Subnautica, No Man's Sky, Outer Wilds, no mass market appeal at all, you know, very niche, very indie, like, you know, for you as a publisher, yeah, only like 1 million or 2 or 3 million copies maybe even sold, you know. It's just change, it's just shit change, you know. There is no potential for something like that to go big. No, zero. So like there's absolutely no win with those people, because they themselves don't know what they want. The only types of games they publish, are the games they publish for their BlackRock ESG score, or something that their friends bring them. Somebody who has an in, somebody who can sit at the table with them and be like, dude, what's like the coolest fucking game ever that recently came out and everyone's talking about it? Left 4 Dead. We need to make another clone of that. Or 7 Days to Die, zombie crafting survival experience, man. We should totally make another game about it. And the suit looks at all this and like, good numbers, very impressive. Let's do it. But if you actually, if you like cold apply to this whole situation, you walk into it cold, and you like, here's my game. Here's what it's like. As you can see, pretty cool games, very successful, very well received. So I'm not just making something in like totally obscure genre that nobody even heard of. I'm not trying to invent the wheel necessarily here, which wouldn't necessarily be the worst thing ever, but of course would be way too risky for you. So not risky at all, but no. So yeah, of course, you cannot fucking talk to those people. You cannot explain anything to those people, because they just go, duh, I don't understand. So yeah, of course I'm fucking contacting more than one of you, in hopes that maybe there's like one not totally, brain dead one who can actually understand what I'm referring to when I say, hey, this is a game of such and such scale. It is scalable, and yeah, guys, whatever. Like it's no war zone, right? But have you ever guys heard of small indies, going really big? Does that ring any bells? Maybe? No? Oh, okay, guys. Sorry, I thought we were in 2010. I forgot that we were in 2025. Where even publishers have no idea what they're doing anymore. They don't even know what's hot. They're still under the impression, that either BlackRock is the only way to survive, or that we need another Destiny. But then they don't even understand that. They don't even know Escape from Tarkov still, because they're all fucking morons. They think that Destiny, Overwatch, like, Fortnite. Like, they don't even think that, Minecraft was made by one person. Like, all they know is that Minecraft was made by Microsoft. What are you talking about? So you bring them something that speaks their language, and they're like, oh, how are you ever gonna make that? It is impossible for one person. You bring them something small and they say, oh, this is too small. How are we ever gonna get Destiny numbers with those? Yeah. No, you're not gonna get Destiny numbers with this, definitely, dude. That's not the point. So, everyone's missing it, So, unsurprisingly, yeah, I don't even know what would I pitch. Like, if I were to think of I can think of fucking million different video games to make, but if I were to set out to make another one, with the plan of like still going publisher, either hopefully or maybe even imperatively, I cannot even think of anything. Like, I don't even know what to pitch to publishers, because they themselves don't know what they want anymore, and they generally don't understand the situation on the market. So, like, yeah. Anyway, so what I'm saying is, I'm not working on CLOUDOME Access, obviously, even remotely, as fast as I should have, or could have, rather. Because there's no publisher interest. And if there is no publisher interest, I don't have $20,000 to market it. Do you? Well, yeah. So it doesn't matter if I finish it. It doesn't matter if I finish it good or bad, whatever. Like, no one's gonna see it anyway. It's not going to be a release. It's not like, oh, make your awesome game and release it. No, if you make your awesome game and release it and that's all you do, you're not releasing it, you're burying it. You're giving it a funeral. So I'm in no rush to give CLOUDOME Access a funeral. But yeah, just in case, by the way, anyone out there gets it and interested maybe in becoming part of this whole process, I could definitely use some help, because I don't necessarily have full time to work on CLOUDOME right now, and I don't see the point really of working full time on CLOUDOME. But if there was somebody with me also pushing it forward, it would give me motivation to prioritize it first of all, so that I don't leave you hanging, you know, with your half finished asset, you know, waiting for me to finish it so that you can start on the next one. So that would give me motivation to bump it to the top of my list. And also it would, you know, give me hope that we can actually get it done quickly. Because, like, I'm not particularly interested, you know, working for 3 or 4 months right now, non-stop, just to bury something I have finished, you know, a year ago. It's just, you know, I'm over it. You know, I'm doing other things now. But it would still be nice to finish it, right? Or rather, what did I say? To release something that I finished a year ago. Well, I made it. I'm not sure if the word finished is what I wanna call it. But you get the idea, right? CLOUDOME Access already exists. It's just in deconstructed form. You know, CLOUDOME Access is hidden inside CLOUDOME Prototype. Now we need to take CLOUDOME Prototype apart a little bit and make Access out of it. So Access already exists. It's just not in, you know, constructed form. Yeah, you know, guys, it's that's what happens with creative projects when they go on for too long. You cannot work on something for years and years and years and months and months and months. You just cannot. You're gonna get tired of it, because if you're a creative person, you're gonna be getting other ideas. That's why so many projects that are like way too long in development, they start shifting genres. They start, well, feature creep happens, right? Like the story gets completely rewritten, or, you know, maybe even scrapped entirely. You know, we start implementing like whole other systems into the game. Like the game used to be a first-person shooter, now it's a third-person open-world survival. You know, it's because you get fucking tired of, you know, thinking of the same thing for over a year. So you start getting new ideas. Yeah, you know, so I'm done with CLOUDOME, like, honestly, emotionally, or intellectually, I should say, because I've done it, I lived it, you know, I told my story, and it's not that I, like, no longer, you know, wish it to exist or anything like that. It's just that it's time for me to be doing other things now. And it's not particularly enticing, you know, to drop everything and just work full time on it. But, hey, there are plenty of things that I mean, still, out of the remainder of the things that need to be done, right, to put together CLOUDOME Access, I am pretty much the only person capable of doing probably over 90% of it. But there's 10% that is simultaneously, honestly, not super worth my time, and not because I am so good, you know, and it's beneath me. No, it's because I'm actually not necessarily super good at those things, and someone else tackling them would probably be way more effective. Like the fucking 3D modeling. I honestly am not looking forward to all the 3D modeling that I need to be doing. And right now, that's pretty much what I'm working on. And I'm not super hyped about it. Because you guys, like, I don't know what fucking 3D modeling environment I should be using. I, of course, have Blender. And I cannot be fucked to try anything else. Because it's just, like, way too big a market, honestly. Like, for what I need, it's not worth it for me to be exploring this entire market. But Blender is just fucking terrible. The workflow in Blender is just trash. Those of you who would cope and say, no, what are you can get used to it. Yeah, you can get used to workflow of like Reaper, you know, or Pro Tools. Doesn't mean those, you know, those DAWs don't fucking suck, you know, when it comes to interface and workflows. They do. There are only 3 DAWs that are really good, workflow-wise and interface-wise. And that's Cubase, that's Studio One, and that's Logic. There is some Linux one. I keep forgetting what it's like. It's something on D or T, I don't remember. But it's on Linux, so nobody uses it. I think maybe on other platforms, but primarily on Linux. And who the fuck does anything on Linux? I'm sorry, guys, who make everything on Linux. I'm very, very sorry. Not for offending you, but for you, you know, being a Linux audio person. It's honestly not worth it, but if that's fun for you, I'm glad, and also I'm sorry that you're, like, not enjoying anything else in life, unfortunately. I think there are plenty of other things to do in this life instead of fucking with audio Linux. Or Linux audio, rather. But yeah, but like, what else? People are still using things like FL Studio. You know, when I see somebody using FL Studio, I just want to slap that person. Like, what the hell are you doing? So yeah, if you feel like Blender is actually a perfectly fine environment, like, no, it isn't. Fucking 3D modeling in Unity using Pro Builder, you know, feels better than doing pretty much anything in Blender. No, Blender is not made for humans, guys. I'm sorry. There must be a better way. There must be a better program for it. I totally believe that there are better programs for that. Because Blender is just fucking terrible. What I'm experiencing right now with Blender, it's like if I knew nothing about audio and I just installed Reaper or Pro Tools, you know, God forbid, and I just said, what the hell is this workflow? Working with audio is so confusing and such a pain in the ass. I never want to work with audio professionally, you know, so basically I'm experiencing the same thing, but with 3D modeling through Blender right now. And yeah, you know, I'm at the point where if I had money, I would gladly pay double to just never touch 3D modeling in Blender ever again. All that to say, yeah, I already bitched about it, I think in my previous transmission. But yeah, if anyone hears it who's who understands the basic premise of CLOUDOME and wouldn't necessarily mind seeing it like done properly, like considering, you know, prototype is pretty rough around the edges. I mean, if you don't think that, if you think prototype is a perfectly fine product that doesn't need like anything changed, then you would hate the idea of CLOUDOME Access. But if you agree that prototype is pretty rough around the edges and it wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing to cut a crap ton of stuff out of it and just kind of like simplify and straighten the process a little bit, like, absolutely get in touch, because I've got plenty of things to delegate. As a natural born leader, I'm pretty good at delegation. And yeah, I have actually not had any time to play any fucking video games at all. Not that I didn't try. So, like I did in the description of my last video, I did actually finish Watch Dogs. And goddamn, the second half of that game, I would say maybe even starting from like the second third of Watch Dogs, it actually starts falling apart a little bit. But like the opening is good, and most normies only play video games for about 5 to 10 hours. So like legit, if you fucking normies played Watch Dogs, you would have loved it probably. Because the opening like 5-ish hours of Watch Dogs are actually pretty cool. Like story is strong, protagonist has absolutely nothing wrong with the protagonist. Story is actually pretty alright. You know, the city is beautiful, the systems are pretty interesting. It's later, it's sometime later the game starts falling apart. It becomes a bit linear, like way too much fail states in missions. There's actually not enough of like good open world content. There's a lot of crap, bloated crap in the open world, but actually good content in the open world, like gang hideouts, there's only like 13 of them. Are you kidding me? And there is like 3 additional pretty big DedSec like side missions. And other than that, it's mostly all of the remainder side content is just trash, unfortunately. So like very, you know, 2010 Ubisoft style, where the world was not necessarily super overbloated with like Korok seeds style stuff, but it was still it was just like populated by shit activities nobody wanted to do. They were always crap. Yeah, so that's Watch Dogs. So I kind of, you know, I take back probably somewhere between 25 or maybe even 33.69% of my initial praise for the game, because yeah, honestly, the game simultaneously is a tad too long. I feel like it overstays its welcome a little bit in the story department as well, but in the gameplay and mission design definitely, especially because mission design gets rather tiresome with all the fucking fail states left and right, very Ubisoft style. And the game does not necessarily open like that. I feel like they scrambled their vision for Watch Dogs relatively early in development to make it more of a Ubisoft experience and handhold a Ubisoft experience. Which is actually kind of funny, because something very obviously, something very similar happened to Sleeping Dogs. Sleeping Dogs, also known as True Crime Hong Kong, was very obviously, it's like the first fourth of the game is completely different from the rest of it. The rest of it is like a cheap GTA clone, but the first area you're in is like Ryuga Gotoku level of fidelity, open world. It's like Ryuga Gotoku went GTA, but then they made like 3 more areas for the game that were like Saints Row level of detail fidelity, and the story started skipping like way too many bits and beats, and like there's literally no ending. And Watch Dogs, it feels like also they started developing one type of game, and then they kind just decided to phone it in, like in the second half, or even slightly before the second half starts. I did decide for the first time in my life to play BioShock 2 recently, but I have not played. I've played it for like 30 minutes because it took me like 4 hours. Ooh. It took me like 4 hours, dude, to make it work. Basically, BioShock 2 Remaster is no better than BioShock 2 the original. It's just that the remaster, I think, actually runs animations at high FPS, because BioShock 2 animations are locked to 30 FPS, which looks ridiculous. It looks like fucking stop motion, you know, every time. Like, everything moves like in stop motion, but you and the camera moves at whatever FPS your monitor is, but everything else moves like in stop motion, but only physics, actually. No, sorry. Not everything is animated at 30 FPS, only physics are animated at 30 FPS. So everything like free falling, everything, you know, flying, It just looks very bizarre. Like, here's an enemy right in front of you, moves normally. You shoot them, they die, and they fall over like this. It looks bizarre. Bioshock 1 had the same problem, but there was, who would have thunk? In Bioshock 1, somebody made a script that actually unlocked the frame rate for physics. In fact, you could, it didn't just unlock them, you could tell the game what frame rate you wanted for it to run. You can make it 60, you can make it 100, whatever. No such thing for Bioshock 2. And for Bioshock 2 Remaster, what I heard, the people say it crashes all the time. People say Bioshock 2 like HD Remaster or whatever, or just Remastered. It crashes. It crashes like every 30 to 40 minutes for pretty much everyone. And well, guess what? So is the original. So they literally didn't fix anything. They forgot to fix the biggest thing with Bioshock 2. Bioshock 2 on PC just literally does not run. It crashes is what it does. You know why? Because by default, it tries to open with the highest DirectX it can, of course, which is DirectX 10. And guess what? DirectX 10 just doesn't work for Bioshock 2. It just doesn't. I remember Far Cry 3, I think, had some DirectX 10 shaders, and you could choose it, and it ran fine, I believe, and looked a little bit better. But then again, you know, maybe aesthetically you wouldn't necessarily agree. Because DX9 pretty much is how the game looked on console. You know, so if you're nostalgic for Far Cry 3, you may want to play with DX9, because DX10 is just gonna... It's gonna look like some kind of modder, you know, just randomly decided to up the fidelity of like the water shader. So like the water looks so much nicer, but everything else looks just as shitty, you know. So like I don't even know if that's if that's an improvement overall or not, right? Or if that's like goes against the rest of the style of the game. Bioshock 2 with the DX10, some shaders look so much nicer with DX10. The game actually, like, legitimately, the game looks wow. When you launch Bioshock 2 for the first time in DX10 mode, you go, wow, this game looks fucking neat. Absolutely. Well, obviously, I play with the FOV hack, flawless, widescreen. Both the weapon FOV and the screen FOV turn up to max. Helmet UI removed, of course. The game looks fantastic. Without it, by the way, it's ridiculous. I tried turning the FOV fix, because I launched it with FOV fix enabled. But if you try launching it without it, the FOV is just ridiculous, guys. I kid you not. It's like, can I even do it? Yeah. It's literally, it's like this. You play like this. This is your FOV. This is your FOV. In Bioshock 2. Compared to how like things like world actually works in front of you, this is how Bioshock 2 looks if you fucking play without the fix. It's honestly, it's fucking retarded. It looks like you're like ADS style zoom in is just being permanently held. But anyway, yeah. The game just crashes with DX10. Just randomly crashes. My first attempt, the game ran for almost like 10 minutes or 15 maybe even minutes. And I didn't even think what the problem was. But then I decided to play and encounter differently, so I saved and loaded up the save. And from there, the game immediately crashed. In fact, it blue screened my computer like 5 times in a row. After which it stopped blue screening my computer and instead just started silently crashing every time I would load that save. I thought, corrupted save? No way, I just started the game. So couldn't be a coincidence, just a freak coincidence. Is saving just corrupted, is broken in Bioshock 2? There's just no way. Start Googling it. And there were a few copes around the problem. So somebody said that you could go into the like Unreal Engine ini file for Bioshock 2 and increase the texture cache size and texture streaming distance limit, whatever. I have no idea what that is even. By default, it's like 30,000. It says change it to 10,000. How the fuck is that supposed to change anything? I have no idea. And yeah, I increased the hell out of my texture cache, and I put the thing to 10,000. No, it does nothing. People who say it changes anything, it's just because you don't know if the game will crash like immediately or if it will run for 10 minutes. So, and then crash. So people try it, they see that the game doesn't crash immediately, they report that, oh, this fixed it, this is the fix. But no, it actually isn't. No, the game still crashes. You know, maybe the game came out in 2010, I believe. Maybe in 2010, you know, there were like a couple of top of the line NVIDIA graphics cards that could actually run the game in DX10. But no, on modern machines that cope with increasing texture cache and distance limit texture thing, no, it will not work. It's cope. What works is forcing the game to run in DX9 mode. You will immediately notice that something is visually off a little bit compared to how the game looks in DX10. Because in DX10, just certain things just absolutely pop. Like they, like really, because DX10 was a marketing thing, was a marketing tool back in the day. So the devs went out of their way to, like, really make games pop in DX10 a little bit. So yeah, Bioshock 2, like certain things in DX10 just look so much more impressive. And totally fine by today's standards, by the way, just FYI. The game looks so much better than Bioshock 1. It's ridiculous. Bioshock 1 honestly doesn't look all that good in so many places. In addition to the fact that Bioshock 1 isn't a particularly good game anyway, it's a pretty subpar shooter with a very, 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 very tiny, you know, like System Shock mechanics, which weren't, by the way, immersive sim anyway in the first place. Because System Shock was a shooter also, you know, it wasn't like a true immersive sim that we think of where, you know, you can go guns blazing, you can go ghost, you can go stealth, you can go, you know, maybe like hacking so that I can like unlock some kind of shortcut where I don't even have to ghost through the area. I can literally walk around the area because I unlocked some vent somewhere. Like, no, System Shock was not that kind of game. It was a relatively linear shooter. Well, it didn't take place in a linear world necessarily, but it was like a hallway shooter, really. It's just that, you know, it had a little bit of RPG-ish mechanics to it. And Bioshock is the same way. You know, it's not an immersive sim. It's a pretty dumb shooter with just some interesting mechanics bolted on. But at the end of the day, you know, it just choose your flavor of ice cream. You know, you're gonna have to you're gonna have a big shootout one way or the other. You know, it's like it doesn't really change the point of how you're gonna play it. It's just like how exactly, you know, what exact tools are you going to use on the enemies in front of you to achieve the same thing, you know? Like Painkiller. Painkiller is just big enough as a immersive sim as Bioshock, because in Painkiller you can choose which weapon you're going to use and which mode of which weapon you're going to use on which enemy. Well, Bioshock is the same way, only it's a little bit more grounded and kind of like system driven, I suppose, but at the end of the day, it's also just a shooter. You know, there's no real stealth. There's no real, like, anything, really. Yeah, but Bioshock 2 legitimately looks more impressive, graphics-wise. I wish the game could have been played, was playable, right, in DX10, with DX10, but no, with DX10 it's, you will discover eventually, or rather quickly, that it just crashes, and then if you keep trying to cope, you will eventually just decide that DX9 is the only way to play it anyway. So might as well. Yeah, so probably spent around 3 hours on Bioshock 2. Actually played it for about 30 minutes. Well, maybe over an hour. 30 minutes in-game progression total, over an hour of replaying the first 10 minutes. Yeah, fun times, but nothing really to say on the matter. Pretty okay linear shooter, very aggressively trying to be Bioshock 1. Bioshock 1 2.0. You know, again we have Atlas. Just like literally like baby female Atlas. It's like, okay, so same formula again. Okay, guys, whatever. And yeah, I don't know. I did enjoy though that the game like kind of actually opens with gameplay, because Bioshock 1 opens with an hour and a half of just walking and watching set pieces. Like Bioshock 1, you don't play it for the first hour, maybe even slightly longer, or I would say about an hour, 40 minutes, something like that, 40 minutes, 60 minutes. Bioshock 2 actually opens with gameplay, and at no point does it entirely stop itself, so far, to just kind of like be... Because you would think maybe it was a bit of a cold open, but no, it just keeps going, you know, the game does not stop you at any point and tells you, okay, now slow walk for the next 30 minutes because we need to get you into the mood. No, there's a little bit of walking, yeah, underwater walking, very Soma-ish, way before Soma, of course, but very quick and painless. The game seems to be much more video gamey, what I'm trying to say, than Bioshock 1. Bioshock 1 was very up its own arse with being an experience. Bioshock 2 seems to be like a video game for video gamers. So, we'll see. Okay, that's all. New music incoming, already submitted and paid for. We'll probably release it on Bandcamp when it's in stores, and also do a Patreon announcement, and probably mention it again at in the next stream. Novel, yep, totally working on that. New music, yep, already working on that. And CLOUDOME Access, yep, already working on that. All those things at the same time means there's, you know, progress is not super fast, but if anyone wants to join the CLOUDOME situation, super welcome. Super welcome. Please find a way to contact me. There are plenty. Whichever you find, I will most likely check it out. I mostly check. I probably keep an eye on it, like, pretty reliably, I believe. Yeah. Except for Instagram. Probably don't DM me on Instagram anymore, because I will see it in 3 weeks. I don't really open that. I don't even have the app on my phone anymore, and on PC I'll open it occasionally, but once it inevitably logs me out, I'm probably never gonna bother to log back in. Alrighty, bye-bye.